the Sad Dads Club podcast. Here's everybody's favorite sad dads, Jim and Boo.
Our flight back, I'll jump back to this later, but we had to stop to get gas in our plane.
Did they like roll up to Arco and be like, if you guys want a Gatorade, hurry on back?
I know, right? But none of us adults on the plane had ever had that happen before, and I have flown across
So the flight was from
Boston.
It's not even an international flight.
Correct.
Boston to San Francisco?
To SAC.
Oh, not even San Francisco.
Right.
So 20 minutes early.
Right.
And where did you have to stop to get gas?
So that was funny because originally they told us throughout the day, I'm not on the emails, but Venus was. Uh-huh. So she was getting emails about the flight being delayed. Half hour, hour and a half, 1 hour. And multiple parents throughout the day were like, oh, the flight's changed again. Uh-huh. It's going to be delayed. So that moved all the shit we were doing. Anyway, so we get there, and the board says, on time. And everyone's like looking at the 5-something emails that everyone had gotten about the plane being delayed.
Who's the carrier?
JetBlue.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes you get what you pay for.
Right. Oh, who's looking for a bargain? Yeah. Uh-huh. You're getting it on JetBlue.
It could have been Spirit.
Yeah. Huh? South by Southwest? Uh-huh. You're like,
wait, what? Is that Frontier?
Yeah.
What?
We're almost there. We're
riding Paddy Wagon Airlines.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
We got reindeer pulling half the leg.
Just put these shackles on. Why?
Why? Because we don't trust the entire cabin. Why? So we get basically told that after us getting there to see that it was on time,
yeah,
like we're there maybe half an hour, and then it goes to not on time, an hour late.
But you already kind of knew this.
We already kind of knew,
but then you get there and it says it's on time.
Right, and then as we got there, then all of the teachers and the coordinators were basically blowing smoke. Like they're coming up with like shit pulling out of the air as to how they were trying to explain that we were being told it was a delay when we got here and there was no delay. And it was like, oh, Google may be predicting based off of the fucking swamp gas and the thing, based off analytics, that there's probably going to be a delay in the flight. And I'm like, whatever. It's delayed now. That's all I see.
All I have to say about that is if you were on time on any kind of percentage that was decent, they probably wouldn't predict that.
Right.
You know?
Hashtag JetBlue.
God damn.
So then the person gets on the mic and basically says that because the flight is at capacity, and that the flight was apparent, I guess they're doing some sort of metrics, knowing that we were the bulk of it was kids with trinkets and souvenirs, that the baggage was also going to be heavier.
Okay.
So they told us that given all of those factors, that they were trying to, and with headwinds, because there was a storm somewhere in the Midwest somewhere.
That one fucking up Montana.
Right. That, right, yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
That they were going to have to stop somewhere to get gas. And the current plan was to stop in Salt Lake City. But they had to get pre-clearance that Salt Lake City had a gap for us to drop in, get gas, and then get back out as fast as possible. I'm like, well, I don't care. As long as you're doing the fucking maths on the slide rule, I don't care.
I mean, did they buy the small battery pack?
I don't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't.
Like, what the hell?
Oh, we get there. Is it, okay, hold on. Before I get any deeper, hey.
Buy the extended range battery pack, please.
Welcome to Sad Dads Club podcast. I'm the normal host, and thank you, Tony, for last week's step-in. It's episode 195.
Yep.
I'm the Lord Foo.
I'm Jim.
So,
and back to
plane shenanigans.
Yeah.
So they tell us Salt Lake City. So I sent a thing to Venus. I'm like, currently we're delayed. we have to get gas because of headwinds and fat-ass
I
kids.
still don't understand this.
And that's where the current plan is.
Gas is cheaper somewhere else.
Well, yeah.
Like, what are they doing?
So that's where they left it for us, and then about an hour idle time, so an hour delay, they finally board us.
There's so many things going on in my head.
And I'm under the impression, well, they got the clearance, we're stopping in Salt Lake City.
Were you flying on the Spirit of St. Louis?
Yeah.
I mean, like, what the shit? Was
What the
Amelia
shit?
Earhart
Exactly.
the pilot?
And then all the parents are talking like, stopping for gas? Like, have you ever? I'm like, I have not. And I've flown cross country in one shot multiple times.
Did it say it was a nonstop flight?
Yes.
Then what the shit?
Exactly. So we ended up maybe not even an hour and a half into the flight, hard turbulence. And, sit the fuck down kind of shit.
Yeah.
Our drink cart got jostled a couple times. And it was somewhere about an hour and a half. They have free Wi-Fi, so #JetBlue.
I'm not sure that makes up for a unplanned
So
gas
it's
stop.
over about an hour and a half. I get a notification on my phone. Welcome to Canada. Your cell phone service. And I went,
Wait, what?
What the fuck? What? And they have on their seat backs the LCD screens that.
The flight path or whatever.
Yeah. So I pull up the fucking flight path, and we made a hard fucking right somewhere New York, Pennsylvania-ish, right over Erie or Ontario into Canada briefly, enough that Verizon went, "Hi, welcome to Canada. Your rates will blah 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 blah, and your data rates and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Fucking okay."
Have an unexpected bill time.
Right. About another hour in, we get the notification that we're stopping in Kansas City.
So wait, what? You flew up into Canada around a storm, presumably. And then
Instead of Salt Lake City.
hung a left and went south.
Yeah.
Into Kansas.
Yes.
That is the weirdest shit I've ever heard.
And the best part, multiple. This gets to probably the whys, part of the whys. Multiple people's screens, no worky.
Oh.
No worky.
#JetBlue.
#JetBlue. And then the flight wasn't even at capacity. It wasn't even full. There was at least 10 spots sprinkled around that were available. And
Are you sure they weren't just really small people?
I know. I'm like, are you see? These are fucking kids. This isn't a full fucking plane of adults.
Right.
One of the actual, there were 2 school teachers, but only one was an official chaperone. He brought his wife, so a husband and wife that were both school teachers at Silverado. The husband was an actual chaperone. They weren't sitting together. We didn't get to sit together, so it was kind of just random whatever. I was with a person I enjoyed.
Is it assigned seats?
No.
Oh, so it's like Southwest plane.
I'm sorry. Yes, it was assigned seats.
Okay.
So they gave it random. Xander was, because he didn't know who he was going to sit with. Shit with.
Yeah. That's always stressful.
The kids did some shenanigans.
Yeah.
In order to move, and they didn't care. And
Right.
he ended up with someone that he was chill with. So the husband was sitting like 4 rows ahead of us in the middle, and he's probably 15 pounds lighter than me. So he wasn't. The seats were of decent size with a lot of legroom. #JetBlue. So that was impressive.
Right.
Except his wife, the other teacher, who was awesome. I enjoyed her company. She was good people's. So she's sitting next to me. I'm in the middle. She's sitting next to me. Another good person from the trip is sitting on my left. And across from us in the other aisle is another chaperone, blank seat chaperone, 2 women. And the husband asks an attendant on the way by, can I sit in that other seat? And he flat out gets told, no, it would unbalance the plane.
What the hell?
#
For one guy moving.
JetBlue.
Because all the gold bars you guys have in your bags, no moving.
Right. I'm like, and his wife next to me, she's pissed because she's doing the math.
Right.
Like, he's 180 pounds, maybe.
Right.
You're telling me that to there is going to... And then we're making jokes like, if this thing goes into a slide, we're heavy on the left anyway because all the empty seats are on the right.
Well, the only time that matters is when you're taking off or landing anyway. I mean, cargo planes, when they go down, it's because they aren't loaded right, and it's takeoff or landing, right?
Yeah. So...
And that's a cargo plane.
Right. So at some point, someone asked again to like, hey, is it, and no, the plane it's the oldest plane in our fleet. Hashtag JetBlue.
Thus the gas stop. It's got the small tanks.
Yeah, it's got the small tanks or inefficient engines. It was 22 and a half years old.
Which
now,
really
I don't
isn't
know
that old.
in planes if that's bad, but apparently in their fleet, it was...
I mean, Soviet Russia's using
I know.
planes from the 30s,
They still wind a propeller with a rubber band.
Yeah.
And just like, I hope it goes the whole way.
I literally watched a YouTube video. This guy was like, I can't wait. I'm flying on this Russian plane in Russia that flies from here to there, and it used to be a bomber.
Oh, shit.
And now it's a passenger flight.
All we need to do is get to Ukraine.
Right.
Then if it falls,
Yeah.
fuck, whatever.
We are just doing our special operation.
Yeah, it's oh.
Jeez. Wow, that's terrible.
Yeah, so we stopped in St. Louis,
Yeah.
parked. It took us...
Was it a DC-1 or something?
I don't know what the fuck it was. No, it was 737. So we took us an hour to get gas.
Wow.
And as they are backing us out after gas, the lady is giving us, so now in the seat belt, fastened masks dropped from... They have to do the whole thing again.
For the same people.
For the same people as if they were taking off brand new. And I get it.
Yeah.
It's probably protocol. They have to do it.
Oh, it's FAA regulation.
But if they are standing there and the attendants in the middle of the aisle are doing the seatbelt thing, and this is how your seatbelt's untightening and the oxygen masks. If you are having to go through that protocol, but your comm system sounds like, right, or it's that's landing, right. I mean, what the fuck is the point?
Right.
Like, why? What are we doing, honestly?
Maybe they don't know.
Because some of the blind people, all they got was static.
Well, they got the card in the seat back in front of them. Just read that.
Yeah, the blind, and then I mean, anyway. And then when I can't remember, she did something else. Like, she was clearly just, that's what it was. When we were landing in Kansas City, St. Louis, Kansas City, when we were landing, she then goes through like the seatbacks, tray tables, and thank you for flying JetBlue on your final destination of Kansas. Like, bitch, we ain't getting off the fucking plane.
No.
She's just going through the motions, reading through the thing, like, we are landing, and here you are at your final destination, and everyone on the plane is kind of looking at you like,
did we get on the wrong plane?
Are we getting off? Like, what's going on here? And then the jokes about, you're on the wrong page of the manual, honey.
Yeah.
Just, we're getting gas and blah, blah, blah.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, I've flown literally from San Francisco to Germany on one flight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just figured headwinds. I wasn't keeping up with news outside of locally where we were, but I know we hit something right there in New England.
Yeah.
And there were a couple days on the trip where we had storms, so I know there was rough weather in the area.
Yeah.
I knew we got rain on Sunday, but I didn't know to what end that progressed through the Midwest. But they said headwinds, old-ass plane, and a bunch of fat asses with loot. And I just figured, well, okay, the engines may not be that efficient, and the headwinds apparently are that bad that they're either having to go that far out of the way that the mileage just isn't there. Makes sense to me.
I mean, it could, but that's pretty bizarre.
But it was certainly troubling to see throughout the day, you see the delays, and then you get there, and it's on time, and then you get told it's an old-ass plane.
A 6-hour flight home turns into a 7.5-hour flight home because you got to stop for gas.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we were supposed to get in at 8, and we got in like 11:30.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
Plane shenanigans. So.
See, that's why I don't fly anywhere.
Right.
I don't need the shenanigans.
Yeah, that amount of time with a mask on your face, it sure gets hot, swampy.
Yeah. No bueno.
So, I have now completed the double trifecta. Wow, did I just say that?
It was like
the double whammy.
2 trifectas?
Yeah. 6s? No. So, I did Piper's 8th grade DC trip and Xander's 8th grade DC trip. I have retired the hat that I wore to both of them because now I'm done. And I can confidently say that kids are no better 4 years from when I first did it.
They're still as clueless
as fucking clueless as they were 4 years ago.
Yeah, they're just like excited to be on a trip anywhere.
They're just brain dead. And there were more adults on this trip.
Yeah.
And in this one, I actually actively talked about like the differences between the first one with parents. Like, so have you noticed that the standing in lines and single file and in spatial awareness of like, regardless of what city, New Yorkers had the least amount of fucks. I saw at least 3 kids get shoulder checked by a messenger who you're in my way.
Yeah.
In my town.
Get the fuck out of the way, kid.
Yeah. And parents agreed across the board. It's just there's something different not being communicated to kids and their attention span in a place where they are the visitor to understand that the right of way. Mm-hmm. Like it's not there.
Yeah.
Now Xander obviously was with me 95% of the time, and my kids are not an exception. Like I helped course correct Piper, hand on the back, kind of single file, or I hot step in behind her or in front of her to make sure that and then I'll keep her in line. Xander was just the same. So my kids, even with me the whole entire time, like, behind me, single file. And I'd still have to like, okay, fucking shoot, let's go.
Right.
Because that guy's going to run you the fuck over.
Well, some of that's just like, never done that before kind of thing.
But
or lack of awareness, maybe.
Yeah. But, it's just... DC was still really good. I still enjoyed DC.
Did you do the same things you did last time?
Pretty close. We had one less day in New York than we did with Piper's trip because we went to Boston in addition, whereas Piper's we didn't. I am still of the... it's a great trip. But I am still of the mindset that if you could find a way to not make it so hard on the kids, like bang, 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 that they might absorb and they might have more respect for some of the things if they weren't so tired and like blitzed from location to location.
Do you think some of that though is like just the lack of awareness of the gravity of where you're at,
It could be.
or like you're not relating it to something that you learned in class that you're here in D.C. and this is this historic thing or whatever it is.
Sure, and I think it was hot as fuck in D.C.
Humid.
Yeah. And hot and humid, and the red eye flight that we took out of there on Monday, that definitely put a whole bunch of kids behind an 8-ball, like right out of the gate.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And then Monday, yeah, it did. Hashtag the truth. It wrecked a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And then it would be Tuesday. Tuesday was a full day, so they were on a red eye, and it was walking, move, bang, 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 no downtime, straight to probably, I think it was about 10 o'clock.
Oh my God.
So you lost 3 hours of sleep, and it was a red eye, and most of these kids put out probably, I think it was, I can't remember the mileage, but it was 20,000 steps, I think, for most of the parents was about the average.
Yeah.
So more physical activity, and probably most of these kids were used to, and the red eye, and a loss of 3 hours.
And a loss of sleep probably for the whole night.
Yeah. We had a baby on our plane, so most of the kids did not get, even though they were told, did not get at least 45 minutes to an hour of
As
anything.
they enter the jetway, you just start handing out
Right.
the PM Tylenol.
Yeah,
or whatever.
here's some Benadryl.
Take these two. Trust me, take these two.
Yeah, hit
to
these.
all the kids.
Do the thing.
Yeah.
We did, like I said, we hit a lot of the landmarks. I don't know if I'll have to maybe have Xander and Piper talk about like what they thought as far as the wait. It was tough to gauge because the kids those first 2 days were just so tired.
Yeah.
The second day was Mount Vernon, and that place always is cool to me because George Washington it's always cool.
Right.
But it was rough as far as the heat, and then some kids that were still trying to recover some of that sleep loss. And because it was raining at the tail end of both of those days, there was a lot of audibles being called to like, well, you gotta keep the kids busy. We can't go back to the hotel at 7 o'clock because that's a bad recipe.
Yeah, you've got a few hours before they would normally go to
right.
sleep.
So it would be shenanigans. So I get that, and that's part of it too. It's like I understand you have to keep the kids busy,
right?
Because if you give the kids idle time, shenanigans. And we had at least what we didn't have on Piper's trip. We had 2 little shits that were just 100% troublemakers. Like, and they fed off each other the entire time. Tour guide trying to say stuff, historical things, facts, some covering with the plans of the day, this, that, and the other thing. And these 2 knuckleheads were fucking jawing at each other and making jokes and it was like, listen, you little shits, like, please shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Just derailing it any chance they could get. It just, if they'd have just been lost at some point, trip would have been better. Like, I can't.
Well, we came back with most everybody.
Yeah, we got everybody. I don't know, your kid got left and blah, blah, blah. New York, because they truncated it for Boston.
You didn't go to Boston last time.
We did not.
Okay.
So New York was kind of like, we got to ride on the Beast, which was the 2 Chinook helicopter engine powered jet boat.
Oh, wow.
On the Hudson.
Yeah.
And we zipped out to the Ellis Island and Statue of Liberty. We got to do that, and we were actually the only one. Our outing was the last one they did that day because the wind was so bad. So we got actually wetter on Piper's than we did on Xander's because the wind was keeping the waves and the splash below the bow lines.
Oh.
And when he would try to turn to get like a bow wave going, the wind just wasn't having it. So we got out to, one of the things that they did on Piper's trip was he got out to like the Statue of Liberty, and he would do donuts, and everyone would get fucking hosed. He did one donut, no one got wet, and he stopped there. Then on the way back, he gave 2 more like bow shakes, and nothing came up over the side, and he pretty much called it. And then the deckhands went over the side and were sucking out, and they sprayed.
Got to get somebody wet.
Yeah, they hosed. Xander got sprayed like 2 or 3 times. A couple of the kids got, a bunch of people got wet, but it wasn't the shenanigans wet from the boat.
Right.
They ended, like I said, they ended up pulling it afterwards because the wind was too much. I think they were probably, the amount of movement that you've got to pull for a boat that big. Plus, I think gas, headwinds.
Yeah.
Yeah. 9/11 Memorial, One World Trade Center top, all good stuff. I enjoyed The Lion King when we were there with Piper. We saw Beetlejuice this time.
Okay.
I had no idea what it was gonna, what the premise was.
I would assume it's just.
It was not the movie.
Oh, okay.
It was loosely tied to it, but not totally. It was
Michael Keaton.
What? No.
Was he Beetlejuice?
No.
Oh.
It was some random dude.
Oh.
It was still very funny. There were a couple innuendos that were probably slightly above the pay grade of an 8th grade class. Because it wasn't for Xander, because we're so nonchalant about it in our house, about sexual innuendo.
Yeah.
Not adult tier, but he knew some shit. Anyway, they referenced orgy a couple times, and then the chaperones from like teachers from the school itself were like,
cover your ears, kids.
Yeah. Oh God, here we go. Because last thing we need is the boys, and a bunch of these kids asking about what fucking orgies are.
What's an orgy?
Why are there 3 people on the screen asking about orgies? It's
nice.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
So some of the teachers got a little uncomfortable that it was that adult, but it was okay. But you could tell that some of the coming in freshman boys were like,
orgy.
Sexy. It was a really good show.
Let's go back to the room.
I'm gonna go back to the room and take a long shower. Make a towel sticky. But it was a really good show. The props, like Lion King, were really good, like top tier shit.
Yeah.
I'd see that again. It was another one that was like, I wouldn't do this if I wasn't on Broadway.
Yeah.
And that I saw it here and that it was that caliber. It's like, well, yeah, probably everything else here is super awesome. Then we went to Boston, and Boston was probably my favorite. I really liked DC, but Boston was stuffed with so much lore and history that outside the really high-level stuff that we've picked up in school, it's like Boston. Pilgrims landed there, and the Tea Party.
There's a whole ton of like history stuff that you probably don't hear about.
Right, because a lot of that stuff moves out from like Puritans and Pilgrims, and then the Thanksgiving and the Cornucopia, and then seat of government, New York and New York City and Washington, D.C. So outside the superficial stuff, there was a whole bunch that I hadn't really ever sunk my teeth into, and it's gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. Have you been to Boston?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
fascinating that as to how much of it is man-made. I was unaware, and that you can tell. If you're ever going to go to Boston, definitely don't rent a car. Just Uber or taxi around,
or use the subway.
Yeah. So many firsts in Boston that I was unaware of. Now you would think, well, yeah, because that's where they landed, so everything kind of generally started out there. But I hadn't ever really oh well, duh.
Right.
It's not New York. It would be.
Now, I mean,
Boston.
Boston for me was a work trip.
Oh.
So, I mean, I was there riding the subway to and from a trade show, seeing parts of the city from the train or whatever, or being in the tunnel of the, So you go down a thing, down a set of stairs and get on a train underground, and then ride it somewhere else in the city, and then pop out somewhere where now the train's above ground, and you're like, I have no idea where I am.
Yeah.
That was sort of my experience. But I liked Boston. I thought it was a cool town.
It was, to me, it checked that box like the first time, like Piper's first trip at Mount Vernon. There was just so much stuff. And then if you take a moment to conceptualize that founding fathers and wars were fought and strategized out of some of these locations that your feet are standing on, their feet were standing on.
Right.
Boston was that same feeling for me at Mount Vernon when you're walking the Freedom Trail, or you're looking at what would be the first, the Boston Gardens, or the Botanical Gardens, the Boston Commons, like all of those places that were the first and are still there. The original streets layout, the churches, some of the founding fathers that are buried there. Absolutely amazing lessons to still, and we did it all bang bang. I'm like, I need at least 3 more days here just to take a moment to really grasp it was a special place.
Yeah.
Special place.
Yeah.
It's hard to put into. I don't know if Xander got that. He was a little bit more stoic than Piper was. Not that he looked bored. He always would generally agree with them. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's the church with the 2 lanterns. Like, that's that church.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You, touch the stone.
Yeah.
Like, that's, how amazing is that?
Right.
The path that Paul Revere and all the other writers that were on to do the alerting, like, you're walking, obviously this wasn't stone or pavement, but you're walking the general direction. God, it was just so cool to me.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Then, let's see, Boston. That was the Blue Man Group. Now.
Okay, first of all, I would like to say, I got to do the Blue Man Group in Vegas, and that was an experience.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. I have been wanting to go back and do it again.
So, are you a fan of the music?
The music's cool, but just the show in general was just
now,
awesome.
I've seen, God, I can't remember the date.
And I mean,
but I had an album.
I assume that they do different shows all the time. They come up with new shows and do different stuff all the time.
It felt like the ones that I've seen at least snippets of, they hit all those beats. So I don't know how new any of the stuff.
So you think they recycle their shows quite a bit?
I had pretty much seen all of the bits that were in our show.
Oh, okay.
Now, I couldn't tell you when the last time I went looking through, like how old that would be, but I didn't necessarily see anything all that new from stuff I had seen clips of on YouTube somewhere. Yeah. Or music that I had already heard, like Rods and Cones. Like, they played pretty much all the hits, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
So they One, I was super awesome to see that they checked our vaccine cards, and you had to wear a mask inside. It was one of the few places that you had to do that, both of those. Now, to be perfectly honest, we saw whatever show we saw, Hamilton down here in SAC.
Oh, yeah.
You had to have vaccine, and I think masks might have been optional, but they did check vaccine cards, and in both places, Boston and SAC, it was like a glance. I can't remember. Hamilton, they may have scanned it, but I don't. They didn't give it much regard. They just wanted to see that you had something.
I'm just surprised they're still doing it. Like, everyone's moved on. But yeah,
they have.
That's why all the numbers are way up, right?
Yeah,
because no one cares anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised they actually give any shits about it.
Yeah, everyone wear a mask. The checking of the vaccine cards or your digital copy was a little bit of security theater. Mm-hmm. I'm being perfectly honest, but there was one boy who was waiting on, I think one of the chaperones that wasn't caught up to us yet, had his card. Mm. And even though everyone else in the group was checked out, they're like, you'll wait here with one of our ushers until your card arrives. Now, if he'd have just probably pulled up someone's QR code, mm-hmm. he probably would have just been blinked right through. But they made everyone show it. So when we sat down, I think I hadn't been sitting more than 30 seconds. Usher comes up to me, and he says, I was wondering if you'd like to be in tonight's show. And I went, okay. Now, I'm surrounded by kids. Now, for the most part, I hung out with Xander the entire time. And when I wasn't really doing that, I was conversing mostly with the adults, specifically two grandmothered-aged women on the trip. So I had my homies, but the kids were really more cool with the teacher chaperones. Mm-hmm. So I was just Xander's dad for the most part, right. Or excuse me, sir, kind of thing. If I was acknowledged at all, it was mostly just Xander's dad. So even though I was surrounded by kids, there was no real affiliation. So this guy walks up, a couple of the kids heard, and then he says, okay, well, can you follow me? And I went, okay. I had a blink to kind of just give Xander like a be right back wave, because he wasn't sitting directly next to me. And the usher walks me out of the auditorium, which was roughly Crest Theater in size. Walks me upstairs, walks me behind backstage, and he says, okay, so here's what's going to happen. So about an hour and 10 minutes...
He's thinking, sucker.
Yeah. About an hour and 10 minutes into the show, they'll come and pick you out of the crowd, and they'll pull you up on stage to put you in a jumpsuit, and they'll put a helmet over your head, a motorcycle helmet over your head,
okay.
And then they'll walk you backstage, and they'll turn you upside down, and they'll put paint all over you and push you into a canvas.
Okay.
And I went...
You know, it's funny because that sounds familiar. Like I've seen this.
Venus knew exactly what was going to happen. Right. And so he says, so what we need you to do, we'll change out your shoes now. Now, if you're listening to this and you were on the trip, it's a gag. What they do is they need someone of roughly the same size and stature of the dummy or the stunt person that they actually push into the canvas.
Okay.
Or it may even be pre-recorded. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So what he says is, don't worry, we're not doing that to you. They'll push you back, take you backstage. They'll take off your overalls. They take the helmet off, and then they put a wet set of overalls on you, the helmet back on, and then they walk you back out stage like you had just been thrown into the canvas.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I went, okay. And he went, does that sound good to you? And I went, yeah. And he's like, have you heard of the Blue Man Group before? I'm like, I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I've got an album from like mid-2000s.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've heard most of your stuff. And he's like, Well, fantastic. And your name? Jason. Where are you from? Roseville. It's like, okay. Well, here's your shoes. The shoes were a little bit big for me, but whatever. So they felt like fucking clown shoes for a bit. So I'm trying not to slip out. I'm like, fuck, if they did anything and my shoes slipped off on my way up there. So I was a little bit nervous about that. So they walked me back to my seat before the show starts. So I sit back down, and the kids are kind of like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I didn't really understand. I don't know.
Just playing it up.
It's something that's going to happen later. And I still don't think Xander knows
that it was a switcheroo.
Right.
Oh.
I think I alluded to someone. I was talking to someone, and I think he picked up on it the other day. Monday? On the flight back? But I couldn't quite tell if he realized, wait, are you fucking with me now?
Right.
So mid-show, there was a couple other skits where they ended up doing two other things randomly that also happened to be Silverado kids. One was a kid where they pulled him up out of the audience and made him the best audience member ever, and they put a little crown on him and they sent him back down. A good time for one of the kids. And then the other one was they pulled one of the other moms who wasn't she was a substitute teacher at Silverado. They pulled her and another random non-associated woman out of the crowd and did like a marriage thing with them on the stage. And so I think at that point, the kids had generally forgotten that I had left at all. Mm-hmm. So they get and the whole time, I'm checking my watch. Like I'm pretty sure he said an hour and 10 minutes into the show. And about an hour in, I'm like, okay, so that bit's done. Well, how many songs are they going to play? And he didn't say how necessarily I was going to get up on stage, because the other two, they were crawling across fucking chairs and shit in the audience to get to the other people. And so I'm like, is it a gag? Do I just kind of... So I had no idea.
Yeah.
And if you've been listening this many years into the show at this point, I am not prepared for that kind of stress.
Right.
So the closer we get, as I'm like checking my watch, I'm like, hour 5 minutes, hour 6 minutes, hour 7 minutes.
What's going to happen?
Okay. What if these fucking clown shoes fall off on the... And
do I got to climb over the
I'm wearing a hat. How are they going to put a fucking motorcycle helmet on me? I'm wearing a hat. I didn't ask how the hat works. I'm like, and then I'm getting nervous.
Yeah.
And the bit comes up, and a guy holding the shoulder camera, hashtag wasn't a scion. Sorry, Dave. Camera comes out, and I'm like, okay, here it is. And one of the Blue Man guys drops off the stage, comes back out with the mask. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, here we go. Uh-huh. And he kind of wanders around the audience, comes up our aisle, and there were two twins on our trip who looked like they were in 6th grade at best, but apparently they were 8th graders, I think. They're like, oh, me. A guy walks right past them, grabs my hand, obviously Blue Man Group, so they're not saying anything. Right. So I'm like, fucking read between the lines, dude. All right, here I go. And they walk me up on stage, and I kind of just had a moment to look at Xander like, here we go, bitch. Walk me up on stage, walk me over to the corner. They're still filming me. They sit me down in a chair, and they've got that shit down to a science of putting overalls on people. And right over the shoes, didn't lose a shoe. Up, put it on my arms, zip it up, and the guy takes my hat off, and obviously my head is shaved like a blue man.
Right.
So he kind of like gives like a head nod, like,
yeah.
I like the cut of your jib, G. And I kind of like did another tilt like, yeah, that's how we roll. And he touched his head to get blue ink and gave me a little smirch, like, now you have been anointed, blue man.
Yeah.
So he has my hat off. He puts the helmet on my head. The visor is blacked out, so I can't see shit.
Oh, wow.
And then I feel them put my hands together, and then I'm slowly getting walked in a direction, presumably off stage. I have no idea what happened to my hat at that point.
You don't have it?
No.
Oh.
At that point, I don't know. Like, okay, well, it's just $0. Also, I'm still wearing a mask. So now I'm up on stage in front of,
You're worried about your hat.
And I'm like,
The shoes are too big.
What if I...
You can't see anything.
I can't see. I'm wearing Ronald McDonald fucking
You're
shoes.
in a jumpsuit.
Yeah. Someone's got my hands semi-bound. I'm wearing a mask. I feel like I'm starting to fucking hyperventilate under the fucking helmet.
Did you feel a breeze in the crotch of the suit? Because that would have been creepy.
There's someone else in here with me. This is scary. Hashtag JetBlue. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, God.
So I walked off stage. They walked me to take the helmet off. They walked me down a couple steps. Another stagehand is there, and they're like, "Okay, so we're gonna get this off." That lady shucked that set of overalls off of me like she was a pro.
Wow.
Like I bet it's fun in your bedroom because you don't fuck around.
She's
with
got
clothes.
all the rip-off clothes.
Clothes were off. It was like a latex painted, so it looked wet, but it really wasn't.
I gotcha.
Set of overalls. Put those on, and she's like, "Okay, so you walk back up." So I walked up a couple steps. They put the helmet back on me, and I can feel, it's a big helmet. So it's kind of wobbling around, and I can feel my mask start to like slip down over my nose.
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I allowed to fix my mask? Like, when are they going to pull me out? Like, do I have time to fix my mask? If I get on stage and my mask is down, am I going to get yelled at? Like, what? So as fast as possible, I like take a hand and I'm like shoving a hand up in my mouth, like trying to get the mask over my nose. I feel like I've done it well, but I'm so fucking nervous. Like it's like I'm making diamonds in my stomach. Everything is just so tight.
Right.
And I can't say that I've actually seen the bit. Like,
yeah,
it might be the one
well,
I've heard
when you're
about
in it. You haven't seen
right.
it.
Venus, I think, knew what was going to happen. And I had a rough, obviously he told me what was going to happen, but I don't think I've seen that one on YouTube somewhere. I keep meaning to look. So then they walk me out on stage, and they take my hands, and then I can see the painting that they made of me being upside down.
Right.
Which is obviously a prop and pre-made kind of thing. And I look at it, and then they pull my hands up like, hurrah, you did it! And like, ah! And then they hand me the painting, and then, walk off stage, it's yours, ha ha ha. And as I'm walking, they jump down into the crowd. Some random dude was the one holding my hat.
Oh, really?
And they put it back on my head. Now, obviously, I had the blue thing, so they adjusted it so it didn't get the blue mark.
Yeah.
So I walk off with my hat and this big 4x6 painting of me getting slammed into the thing. I walk out of the auditorium, and so the blue paint is water soluble and it won't hurt your skin or anything like that. It may get on your clothes or your hat. It looks like it already has. Don't worry about that. It'll wash right out. Okay, the painting stays here. And here are your shoes. Okay, I took off my shoes, took off the wet over...
The latex overalls?
Yeah, the overalls.
Yeah.
And, okay, you can go back in. And I went...
That's it?
I don't know which door I'm supposed to go in. The guy goes, oh, it's that one right there. And I walked back in, sat back down in my seat, and all the kids were like, was that really you? Did you get slammed? Did that hurt? And I went, yeah. No, it was okay. It didn't hurt that much. I'm big. It's cool.
Yeah.
And they're like, it looked like it hurt. And I'm like, no, it's good.
When you're a man.
Yeah,
You're only in 8th grade. Of course it looks like it hurts.
After your balls drop, it's cool, man. You like to get slapped around a bit. Hashtag I love my wife.
Hashtag JetBlue.
Hashtag JetBlue. And so then for that brief moment in time, super famous.
Yeah.
The kids all thought it was really cool, really funny. Did you get to keep the painting? No.
Oh. That'd be cool if they gave you like a poster of it or something.
It would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
Yeah.
Like, and I obviously had an ask. But they did have it hanging as you exit, once the show's over. They had it hanging. I don't know how many kids realized that that's what it was, but as you exit, you walk right past it.
Uh-huh.
So it was there. Xander got a picture, And then it was one of the only places that I actually bought something. It's all overpriced, but I didn't buy a hoodie at the Beetlejuice Broadway show, and I did buy a Lion King one with Piper, so I felt bad that I had missed an opportunity to like actually buy a souvenir somewhere, but I'm like, well, I'm going to go down there and see what they got. So Xander and I got like a light hoodie, like pullover thing for way too much, but I was in the show, so fuck it.
Yeah.
As our souvenirs, like mementos of the thing. So he got one and I got one, and really cool.
Awesome.
It was good times.
Now, the only negative of that is that you missed part of the show.
Right. I did not actually see what it was like to see someone flipped upside down, doused with paint, and then chucked into a canvas.
Yeah.
I have to look at so that way I can sell it.
What I remember about Blue Man Group was a lot of drum beat stuff.
Yes, it's a lot of
And
percussion.
like there was some spinning stuff with like flashing lights and things happening.
Yeah.
And I recall kind of the painting thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
They did so they start off, it's, I thought it would be more the PVC pipe playing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there was some of that.
And
yeah.
then I explained that to one mom who was like, what do they do? Like, what's the thing? I said, it's mostly percussion. Like, it's like paddles on like PVC pipes and drumming. And
Yeah,
like,
one of the ones I remember is like the big wall drum, and like one guy would just hit it.
Yeah.
You know?
So then like a colored light with like goo that comes out, and as they hit drums and it splashes around, like the whole 3 or 4 front rows are all in ponchos so they don't get blasted with
That's
color.
right, yeah.
Like a bit with Captain Crunch where they like are making crunch sounds into a beat, like sampled and then into a beat kind of thing. Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Rock and roll movement.
That's
Number 1.
That's right. Yep. I
Fist
remember
in the
that.
air and head shake.
Right.
Super fun. All the kids absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
We caught another show about essentially like the Salem witch trials and haunting shit inside Salem itself.
Did you see any witches?
I saw no witches. I saw where witches were hung. If you actually think there are witches, not in that day and time. It was like a one-man act or a one-man play with like a synopsis of like Salem witch trials kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was in a very small, I mean, it sat all of us, so it sat at least 35 people with like a small strip as like a runway for the tons. I mean, it was kitted out. Like cool air jets, smoke machine, lights, LCD panels for like hologram stuff, and the guy was super awesome at like quick chain stuff. The audio was really good. I mean, I would have taken that setup as a studio in a heartbeat. It was really well done, and a number of the moms all got. I mean, the kids got the shit scared out of them a couple times, like with the, cool wind, like what something, and then he had some sort of like hidden setup where he could get behind the kids after exiting the front in a quick step, because then the kids in the back were getting touched by a blanket or something that was his robes. Moms that the lights, it goes pitch black and he comes out onto the stage wearing whatever he was, and one of the moms damn near shit her pants because he brushed her knee and she
Oh my God.
So that was good.
Yeah.
It was good times. It was good times.
Nice. That sounds fun.
It was a really, really good time.
Yeah.
Like I said, there were more. I guess there were more adults this time. I bonded with a couple really great ladies, like grandma tears. The one told me that I should be an improv. A bunch of laughs, a lot of commonalities with a lot of those parents. There was general consensus that the kids should be learning manual transmission cars just because, and that they were also buying their kids manual cars
Yeah.
Because, I told the story about how the dealership where we bought the Miata didn't have anyone under the age of 30 that could go get us gas, so the sales rep had to do it.
Yeah.
That story landed well.
I mean, those are all going away, though.
Probably, yeah. Well,
electric cars don't even have gear.
Yeah, they don't even have a gear. Yeah. Just really great conversations. A really good group of people. Most of the kids were well behaved. You could tell that, cliques and groups tend to aggregate, but that was no different than Piper's trip. We did have the two idiots that seemed to cause more trouble than anybody on Piper's trip.
Yeah.
There was less flirting on Xander's trip. Like in Piper's, there was definitely a couple guys that were like
looking to hook up.
Yeah, looking to get some in any way, however they could.
Yeah.
And I just didn't see it in the guys. The guys were more cool to hang out with each other and be loud and stupid than they were trying to hit or flirt with any of the girls.
Yeah.
Really good food. We went to what apparently is the world's best cannoli place. Are you a cannoli fan?
Yes.
Mike's Pastry.
Wow.
In Boston. It was the best cannoli I've ever had. And they walked us through Boston's Little Italy in order to get there. And
I'm jealous.
if I'd have had 2 or 3 extra days, I probably would have spent at least 2 of them in Little Italy eating.
Yes.
The smells from that place were heaven.
Speaking of that, there's a deli literally like 5-minute walk from Mellie's house when she was living in La Brea.
Yeah.
Or La Habra. And it was an Italian deli, and we stopped and went in there to get some stuff before we came home.
Yeah.
And I walked in there, and the smell was just like heaven. I could not believe how good it smelled inside there.
We had our last dinner was at, it reminded me of probably something a little bit higher than Spaghetti Factory. Like, I can't...
Olive Garden?
Yeah, but slightly better. The table settings and the way that they had stuff laid out in courses made it feel a little bit more fancy than maybe it was, but the food was absolutely amazing. And then us having to walk through Little Italy the next day, I'm like, I could really go for like an authentic bowl of spaghetti.
Yeah.
Like an authentic Italian red sauce that's like probably made hours ago.
Mm-hmm. See, I've always wanted to go to New York and hit some pizza places.
Oh, we did that. We were one of our...
Not Sbarro's.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not Pizza Hut.
Right.
We had, I think our first lunch in New York. We got an allocation of money. They didn't put us somewhere to have a prefabbed food. Mm-hmm. Go here, a strip of stores, and Xander and I found like a mom and pop version of like a pizza place with the huge flat New York style slices of pizza.
You fold it over and eat it.
And I'm like, we're getting these, and I don't want to see you like.
Yeah.
I said, you pitch it, fold it, and you eat it like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay. And both of us would agree that it was probably the best slice of fucking pizza. I mean, I'm sure the area had to do with it, but it was really good pizza. Yeah. And I think that we ended up having another piece of pizza somewhere before we left for Boston as well, at a different place that was also just fucking off the chain. I'm like, if we were walking so much, I'd probably be hating all the calories, but it was really good pizza.
Yeah.
It was really good pizza.
Yeah.
We one night in Boston, we went to. Do you like Mongolian barbecue?
Oh, hell yeah.
So where do you frequent here, local to the home?
The place we like is, I think it's called Sizzle.
That's where we go.
Yeah.
So this place was, Mongolian barbecue, if you're not familiar with it, it's the big tabletop griddle style. Theirs was not like it was not like a 5 foot. This thing was probably 10 to 15 feet.
Oh, damn.
With a hole in the middle.
Yeah.
About 2 feet. And anywhere between 7 to 8 guys are working
around it.
And what you do is you put 15 to 20 people around this big thing with your bowl, and they put it in strips, along, and like pie slices along the entire griddle, and they'll do 20 bowls all at one time, just rotating between.
Yeah.
They did their sauces different. So like at Sizzle, it's kind of like you make your own with like a series of like 8 different things.
Yeah, sometimes they get like 2 scoops of this and 1 scoop of that.
To make a sauce.
Yeah.
They had probably 10 sauces, but they were all done, ready to go.
So you just decided if you wanted a spicy thing or whatever.
Right. So you fill like a small portion cup with your sauce, and you hold that while your bowl is being done up on the thing.
So it's not cooked in the sauce.
So once they get to the final rotation, a person comes around and he's got his thing pointing to your strip, and he's like, "This yours?" Yes, you confirm. He grabs your thing and he sauces it, and it spends another minute or so in the sauce. At no point, if you've been to Sizzle, if you don't put enough sauce or you have too many veg, they'll add water, and it may dilute, or you just don't have enough. You're not going to be sauced enough because they put too much water on it. It came out perfect. The last 30 seconds to a minute, into the bowl, walk it off. Xander and I hit that thing fucking twice. And you could do hot dogs or a burger. They kept buns under there, so the people that didn't know how to build something, you could just take your bowl up with a hamburger patty on it, and they would grill you a cheeseburger or a hot dog.
Wow.
So some kids fucking did that, and we like laughed at them like, fuck. I don't feel that they're... No, it was. They had multiple types of noodles, not necessarily like the udons. A little bit more seafood. Steak in more like steak tips.
Okay.
And they had the thin shave. I went both ways. I preferred the shave. So they didn't have like the flat disc, the real thin disc.
Yeah.
It was like crumbly, thin sliced.
Interesting.
Or steak tip. Oh, God, it was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
My wife does not care for Mongolian, and that is a trouble spot in our marriage.
Oh, yeah, but you could do an all-veg bowl.
It doesn't matter.
Really?
It's that she doesn't want a big bowl of hot.
Oh.
That's what she says. I don't want a bowl of hot. I don't want a bowl of hot. So she just doesn't care for the bowl of steaming stuff to eat.
Oh.
And it's like...
Well, that's unfortunate.
Absolutely.
No one's perfect, Shane.
Absolutely. Exactly. Exactly. No, she gets a lot of crap about it, but she will go.
Yeah.
It's not her favorite. So we don't get to go that much because she doesn't
Does anyone
care
else not like it in your family?
Everybody loves it but her. Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Xander and I, we had 2, and as we were sitting down with our second one, we got like 5-minute warning, and I was like, well, I'm not leaving it. And both of us were just short of like
shoveling.
Yeah, because it was really good.
Yeah.
And it's different when part of it was just that it felt sauced appropriately. Like it was just, that's exactly what I was looking for. Like right there. God, really good. Really good.
Nice.
And then when we got back home, we one of the ladies who I befriended, the grandmas, like came up and like told Venus that I was just the nicest guy and super chivalrous, super nice guy, because she was have a hard time. Like, it was a lot of walks. So
Yeah.
I would walk behind to make sure that the moms and the ladies were in Boston late at night.
You were sheep herding.
I was. Well, I was protect.
Yeah.
She's like, your husband was so nice, and he was so sweet to.
Did you ever have to say, like, pick it up, lady?
Oh, I would, and then she would laugh, and I'd be like, I feel bad now. She's like, well, don't worry about it. Just good people. We really had a good time, and I think the teachers did a really great job. I sent them a thing, I think yesterday, basically telling them that, I'm all out of kids to push through Silverado. I can't thank you enough, but this was a really great way to go out. I had, how I engaged with parents and the kids changed from my first outing, so I was more open and I could talk to more people. So I felt like even though it wasn't for me, I got an opportunity to show growth in myself,
Yeah.
which was really cool. If you have a kid in middle school and this comes up, man, please send your kids. The World Strides program, they'll keep you on task and they will fill your kids with stuff every day. But it's a great program. I highly recommend it. If your school does it, get your kid on that 8th grade trip. The parents and the chaperones and the tour guides really want to take care of the kids. They really want to give the kids a great experience. If your kid's a little shit,
Don't send them.
Don't send him or her, because it'll ruin it for the rest of the kids. I can't recommend it enough. Please do that for your kids. It was a really great experience. I'm glad both of my kids got to do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're at time.
I was wondering. All right.
Were you on time last week with Tony?
On time?
Yeah. Or did you go over? Is this a you and I thing where we roll?
Yeah. No, we were right around an hour, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not over, but
Yeah.
we're par over.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you had stuff to get off your chest.
It was good. It was a really good experience. I
Yeah.
can't say enough. #JetBlue.
Wow. That's an endorsement for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right.
uh,
Sounds like fun.
return the cart.
Wash your hands.
Wear the mask.
Wash your ass.
Get the shot. Check your oil, Tony.
Check your...
Did you do that with him?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Let's see, I haven't had time to listen. Register to vote.
Do the kindness.
We'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
All right, bye.